Senator Blumenthal. So again, the purpose of this hearing is to define the problem, okay? So, Mr. Jacobs, Mr. Lehman, you both realize that the enhanced subsidies, that was something Democrats passed. It was supposed to be temporary for COVID, correct? And it was Democrats that set them to expire at the end of this year. Mr. Jacobs, do you realize that? Mr. Lehman, do you realize that?
I see the reality in the website when I try to sign up for a new policy. We're facing huge increases.
What's going away are the temporary COVID enhanced subsidies that the Democrats set to expire the end of 2025 because the pandemic's over. The vast majority of people on these changes, they don't lose subsidies. They just go back to the original Obamacare subsidy rates. There is a small group, and I think, Mr. Lehman, you may be part of this group, that makes over 4% of the poverty line. They never got subsidies under the original Obamacare. That got subsidies with the enhanced. Those are the people whose premiums are doubling and tripling. Those people I want to help, truthfully. I mean, government caused these premiums to skyrocket. You know, we're part of government. Maybe we ought to do something to help people while we start fixing a horribly broken system. But I want to use both of your own experiences here. We'll start with you, Mr. Jacobs. You've got a gold plan. Again, this is with interviews with our staff.
Yep.
This year, you've got a gold plan. You paid $14,529, and you didn't qualify for any subsidy whatsoever because your income level
is too high.
Is high enough, right?
Yeah.
Again, for a person of two, not to have a qualified, again, I won't press you in terms of what your income is, but it's definitely over 400%. So next year, you're going to be paying $19,000. Okay? That's not because the enhanced subsidies you didn't qualify yourself. That's because Obamacare is causing the rates of insurance to go from $14,500 to $19,000. So the very plan that you're saying is you need it. It's Obamacare's faulty design that is driving premiums, causing them to skyrocket.
I'm not complaining about my lack of subsidies. I'm here because I think it's important that my team members still have those subsidies.
So we can talk about that. I started a small business in 1979. I'm older than you, so I have the experience of actually wasn't perfect, but it worked a whole lot better than Obamacare. And the reason I ran in 2010 is I knew Obamacare would literally not work. It'd be destructive, and it has been. 1979, I started a small business. You know, we had a dozen employees. We had group coverage. I bought just about every kind of insurance. I changed insurance every year. I had the freedom to do that. We went from maybe $100 deductible to somebody came in and said, we'll sell you the same insurance, no deductibles, first dollar coverage. Then they raised our rates 40% the next year. We went to self-funded with specific and aggregate coverage with a third-party administrator. I bought it all. It wasn't perfect, but it worked a whole lot better, and I was able to provide insurance for my company. Now, I did notice in the interview you said, or I think this is actually in an article, you're paying about $7,000 a month for your roughly 75 employees?
Something like that, yeah.
To help them, which is great. I mean, so you're deferring.
I'm trying to, yeah, I mean, we're trying to do what we can.
So you do the math on that. So as an employer, you're kicking in about $100 per month per employee. That turns out to be about 62.5 cents per hour. And I appreciate you doing that. 2013, I was providing $505.50 per hour for health care because I didn't have the Affordable Care Act to offload my employees into awful coverage. I had to provide, I had to compete, and I had to compete with a small business. I could buy insurance, but that was before the Obamacare. So again, Obamacare is the problem here. It's screwing things up for you. You need to open up your eyes on that. Mr. Lehman, so last year you did get a subsidy, correct? This year you're not getting a subsidy, which would imply that you're above 400% of poverty line. So with the enhanced subsidies, there was no income limit. So you had to pay up to 8.5% of your wage then you got a subsidy above that, correct?
I'm not sure those exact figures, Senator. I'd have to dig through a little bit here.
That's what the enhanced subsidies did. It capped off. It made people pay at least 8.5% of their income for premiums, then you got subsidy after that. So this year, you don't get a subsidy because you're over 400% of income. So again, the reason your premiums are skyrocketing from your net premium from 6,000 to over 18,000 is because Democrats scheduled that enhanced premium as a temporary subsidy. That's going away. Again, I've got some sympathy for people who are lured into retirement during the pandemic and now are stuck with these Obamacare plans that you're actually lucky. You know, we've got people in Wisconsin, people close to retirement, they don't qualify for Medicare. They're paying $36,000 a year in premium because of Obamacare. You know, when I was buying health care, you had an insurance policy as a $14,000 or $15,000 deductible. That's a catastrophic plan. Those things were dirt cheap. But, you know, people are paying $18,000, $20,000, $25,000. That's because of Obamacare. Why would you want to perpetuate that incredibly failed system other than, I guess, government's providing a lot of subsidies for people. Now, I know people love free federal money from the federal government, which we can't afford, by the way.
Let me illustrate, if I could. Before Obamacare, of course, we have lots of ups and downs in the farm economy, right? And we monitor very closely where we have farm bankruptcies, and we try to find out what's causing them through our university's concern hotline, many sources trying to identify why did people go into bankruptcies. And for so many of those farmers before Obamacare, the reason they went into bankruptcy might not have been because of prices or regulation, although those are serious issues, but they had a catastrophic illness. And it took everything they got just to try to get care in order to keep the farm going, and many times they couldn't, and they had to take bankruptcy because...
Mr. Lehman, what I'm trying to convince you of, there was a far better solution to address that problem than Obamacare. I mean, Mr. Bragdon talked about it with pre-existing conditions. You know, Obamacare does not cover that perfectly. If you don't sign up during the period and you have a pre-existing condition and you start having expenses for that, you can't sign up until the next period. You know, in Maine, you got to sign up immediately, and they cover that stuff. In Wisconsin, again, I'll use the high-risk pool. We would get people, by the way, like yourself that has a pre-existing condition. We would hire them. You can't ask these questions. You hire them. You go put them on your insurance. They get lasered out. But because a high-risk pool, they would immediately qualify for the high-risk pool. We could structure the plan almost exactly like our own coverage, paid the same premiums. The high-risk pool was funded by everybody who had insurance. It worked beautifully until Obamacare came and blew it all up. And now we've got this awful system that's driven premiums on average 169% increase on the exchanges, state by state, 4.3 times rate of inflation. So again, I'm probably not going to convince you today, but I just want you to actually look at the numbers. And by the way, you know, the ranking member may have been right in terms of that one individual. His net premium might have doubled or tripled. That's because with the enhanced subsidies, probably only having to pay 2% of his income. And when he goes back to Obamacare's original subsidies, and they're not going away. Of the 24 million people, about 6 of those are probably phantom. So, but of the 24 million people, 22 million are going to continue to be subsidized under the original Obamacare plan. If you don't like that, if you think insurance rates are too high, blame Obamacare. Don't blame the fact the enhanced subsidies aren't continuing. But again, people like you who are above 400% that got lured into retirement, facing $36,000, I want to help them. I've actually got a plan, but it doesn't have to cost a couple $100 billion. It costs a couple billion. But we have to start fixing the system because this is unsustainable. Senator Marino.